Hello everyone, my name is Wu Chenyu, and today's presentation, my partner and I will talk about the spiral of silence theory. We will focus on five important parts. It include the introduction, the history, origin, background, and the evolution, development, and the important nations, concepts and assumptions, the criticals of the spiral of silence theory, and the potential future development. So to begin with, let's talk about the introduction. The sphere of silence theory is an important social psychological model was first proposed by German scholar Elisabeth Neumann in 1974. The theory states that in the formation of public opinion, individuals are often influenced by a collective pressure to adjust or change their views. This pressure stems from the fear of isolation, where people are afraid of being isolated if their views differ from the majority. Thus, when a person feels that his opinion is in minority, he may choose to remain silent, thus creating the sphere of silence. In the 1970s, Neumann observed the phenomenon of people being influenced by the climate of opinion through the study of voter behavior during the German election and initially proposed the sphere of silence theory. She argued that people would take into account the opinions of those around them when expressing their own views, and that if their views were unpopular, they might choose to remain silent. Since its original articulation in the early 1970s, the sphere of silence theory has become one of the most studied theories of the communication and public opinion. It has been tested in various social political contexts with different issues and across communication systems around the world. Based on a few social and psychological theories explain collective thinking and behavior, Neumann developed procedures in affect to explain people's desire to voice their opinions. The sphere of silence idea sparked intense debate among academics and inspired researchers from the field to investigate its central claims. The willingness to express an opinion somewhat but significantly impacted by views of the public opinion environment. The methodological problem the theory has encountered since Neumann began testing is how the others explain the inconsistent results. They speculate that if the research had seen people in the real life rather than asking them how they would act in hypothetical scenarios, the findings would have been different.
On the one hand, certain new variables may act as moderators for the theory's independent variables. Mass media coverage may have an impact on perceived public opinion, which is one of the theory's independent variables. In 1998, Gunter created an experiment in which he constructed materials may help respondents form a positive perceptions of public opinion and vice versa. The example distribution is another important component that may have an impact on perceived future opinion. However, there is no correlations between example distribution and the spiral of silence effect. Conversely, certain characteristics may influence the dependent variable, the willingness to express oneself directly or indirectly. Additionally, some variables examined from the perspective of individual psychology indicate that there is a positive correlation between efficacy and willingness to express oneself, and a negative correlation between communication anxiety and the classic variable of fear of isolation. A recent study employing agent-based modeling found that the spiraling process differs depending in part on the size of an individual's social network. The main focus of the link research, which may be viewed as the operationalization of the idea of hardcore of the spiral of silence, or an empirical way of evaluating the hardcore, is the attitude of certainty. The spiral of silence theory is based on the notion that people repress their opinion out of fear of being alone. People are less likely to voice their thoughts in public when they disagree with others, because they dread being alone more when they do so. In general, people are more likely to voice their thoughts when they are aware of a problem, deeply involved in it, and certain that their voice will alter, enhance, or resolve it. But even in a vibrant public space, fear of being alone is a major barrier that keeps people from speaking up. Noel Newman's idea runs counter to those perspectives that dominated academic thought in the 19th and 20th centuries, and which used rationalism to understand public opinion and human behavior. This theory linked rationality with public opinion, assuming that rationality was the process of acquiring knowledge through intelligence and making logical decisions based on it. According to Noel Newman, This method merely reveals the hidden role of public opinion formation in democracies. On the other hand, there is a latent function that rationalists technique in law, social control via the logical fear of isolation. Public opinion, as stated by Noah Newman, is a morally shaped opinion and behavior that one must display in public without fear of being alone. It's founded on the unintentional desire of members of a society to reach the consensus required for making decisions and acting in specific situations. Public opinion, according to the author, is a social psychological process of societal control that stems from people's fear of being alone. Public opinion is what keeps society's social skin intact and vibrant. Public opinion still matters to people and society at large, even when it forces people to conform and limits their independence.
But there has also been a lot of criticism leveled at this theory. Sphere of silence is based on the sphere of knowledge, where people avoid voicing their ideas out of concern that they will be alone, and individuals' ranking on the sphere decreases with the degree to which their opinion deviates from the consensus. Researchers have disagreed about the extent to which fear of solitude contributes to people's repression of opinion ever since the first studies on sphere of silence. People who have frequent and direct interaction are more prone to express a fear of exclusion than those who are less likely to do so. Probably more academics have engaged with the sphere of silence hypothesis both theoretically and empirically as a result of its inherent predications than with other theories. To yet, no research has been able to fully test the sphere of silence theory empirically. Early on, theoretical critique was there, but it became more focused in the 1980s and 1990s. It primarily addressed four dimensions. The first and the most frequently mentioned is the social networks and the reference anchors roles. Because of the obsession with the anonymous public, Neumann would have been oblivious to the fact that resistance groups had just as much, if not more, influence over societal perception and unspokenness, comparatively speaking. Very few research have examined this influence, and the finding inconclusive. It's evident that Neumann didn't specifically address the conflicting responsibilities of the reference groups and the public in her first conceptualization of the theory. This figure describes the sphere of silence theory, illustrating a vicious cycle that becomes stronger the less minority group members express their views. Over time, this vicious cycle can silence members of the minority groups to the point where only mainstream views are heard, and the minority views are completely marginalized. Future advances and innovations to the sphere of silence theory are expected given how quickly society is changing and how media technology is progressing. The sphere of silence idea may draw more attention in the future to the study of individual variations. The existing theories address people's psychological reactions to opposing perspectives, but they usually ignore individual differences in personality, background, values, and other areas. These differences may have an impact on how individuals communicate and make decisions when faced with divergent opinions. Therefore, future study may concentrate more on the influence of the individual differences on the sphere of silence phenomenon in order to offer a more thorough knowledge of the mechanism of opinion formation.
In conclusion, applications of the spiral of silence in this multi-layered and complex environment are specific and conflicting. According to analysis of the internet as a public space, it preserves certain aspects of offline sociality while simultaneously providing new technology and communicative tools for debate and opinion expressions that are not available in face-to-face interaction. The subject of whether the spiral of silence spins on social media has not received a thorough response from research. Contradictory findings, however, serve as a catalyst for additional study, particularly in light of the importance of the issue in the context of the internet as a public domain. Fundamentally, the web's democratic potential is impacted by the spiral of silence on social media, and more research on this topic can help clarify another important one. Will the web ever change from being a public area to a public sphere? Philosophically speaking, these questions are also significant because they will offer a fresh empirical foundation for understanding the relationship between the individual and society and the function of public opinion in it.